Hi, I'm Dorothy for That's My Entertainment here at ComicCon 2017, and we're catching up with the cast of Psych to talk about their upcoming new movie.
Can you tell us about any of the hints you were able to give about what's in store?
The hints that we were able to give.
And even ones that you weren't able to give, just put it out.
I think, well, we showed the first 8 minutes of the movie, which is very exciting for us because we've been living with it for a long time.
We announced one of our cast, right? Who was on
Jimmy?
stage, yeah?
Yeah, so Jimmy Simpson, who plays Mary Lightly on and off for us throughout the years, announced that he appears in the movie. I don't think that was out there yet until today. We're holding on to a couple of surprises in terms of people that may pop up in the show that you've seen before, but have yet to be announced. And what else could we? And in the 8 minutes that we showed, I think it's safe to say that you find out that Gus has a new job in San Francisco that is separate and apart from Psych. We see that Sean is still taking cases. We see that he's on a case of some sort that is a little mysterious to us at this moment. We don't know what the case is about, or who's hiring him, or who's chasing him. But he is being chased in that first scene, and he shows up at Gus's new place of employment. So we see a little bit of that, and I think that's about all the surprises we've talked about. The blueberry is not back.
It was destroyed.
It was destroyed, and I think last time you saw them, they were in the driver's ed car. 2 steering wheels, which does make a return in this movie.
What scene are you most looking forward to the fancy?
Let me think about that.
Jimmy Simpson and James together.
Yeah, let's say that. We can't say how it occurs because Jimmy's dead.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Not in the scene, but
No.
supposedly his character's dead. So they come together in a scene in some fashion, and it's disturbing, it's hilarious, it's adorable.
It's a little amuse-bouche.
Yeah, it's fun. We did reveal today that there is more than one person on the panel today that sings in the movie in some fashion.
Will we get new Gus nicknames?
You will. How could you not?
They were in that, the old one, where that clip you guys showed us getting ready.
Yeah. They did some there, but you'll hear some new ones.
So after 3 years of finishing the show, why now? Why have we reunited? What was it that made you guys say, hey, let's get the aspect to
Look, I think we were talking about it when we finished the show. We were lucky enough to end up with a cast and a group of people behind the scenes that all really loved each other, and I think everybody, sometimes in Hollywood, people get antsy, they get onto a series. Actors sometimes feel like they're stuck in those characters, they get worried about being stereotyped, and then they oftentimes start thinking about how they can get off of a show, like, if it's not a huge success. And sometimes even if it is, because they get worried that they're going to be that forever. And I think the nature of being an artist, too, is to evolve, right? So there's something kind of organic with actors and writers and directors where they're like, all right, I've done this for 20 episodes or 30 episodes or 100 episodes, like, I got to move on. And I think with this group of people, everybody just knew what they had. They had a show where they could play, they could do drama, they could do comedy, they could do, be in a Western one week and in space the next week, almost. And everybody really loved each other and loved being around each other, and everybody really appreciated the gig, So everybody, I think, was excited to come back, and would have been excited to come back after 6 months off in some fashion. But we're really excited after 3 years.
So in the last episode, you sort of made an allusion to another USA program that was not. So is there going to be any crossover?
I don't think there is going to be. We did think it would have been really funny when our guys showed up in San Francisco. And I think there was a comment about it, like, well, we already have somebody here.
Yeah.
We thought it would be really fun, but we're not sure that Tony would think it would be that fun. So I don't know. If he's ready to put the outfit back on and play that character, we're ready to play.
What was it like casting Zach and Levi and bringing him in on this whole process?
What was cool is that Zach, we've known Zach because of ComicCon mostly for years, and we'd go and do the panels, the smaller panels at Nerd HQ, and go to his parties, and got to know him. And of course, we knew that he sang, so there was always a conversation about, well, if we ever do a musical, maybe we can get Zach to come and do it. And we knew that there was a lot of crossover audience between the Chucksters and the Psychos, and so there were several times where we were like, maybe Zach will come and do this, and it kind of never worked out schedule-wise, and it almost worked out for a musical, and then it didn't, because I think he was in Europe at the time doing Thor, and so that didn't work out. So this was kind of obvious when we were doing this. We were like, well, maybe this is an opportunity. So we reached out to Zach, and he immediately was like, this is awesome, I'm in. I got a call from his agent at one point going, yeah, so he really wants to do this, like, because I'm sure they sit around and talk about, like, you're a movie star and you should do this, and like, let's do this, and we're going to build this series around you. And he's like, I want to do this guest spot on this movie for USA. And they're like, okay. But he's a smart guy, and I think he knows that that not only did we all like each other and want to play, but that it was really great for his fans and our fans, and the future of maybe a Chuck movie. I don't know, the more I think that these kind of reunions go on, the more they can happen for other shows, which is kind of exciting. So it was fun. We had a lot of fun with Zach.
Last question, guys.
Kelly has to answer it.
You have to answer it.
I will say yes. Well, I think it has been leaked that Ralph Macchio appears in the movie, so I think he counts. And absolutely, there's references for sure. One thing that Steve and James, I think, did an amazing job with was trying to check every box in case this is the only and last time that Psych ever happens. Just in case, they checked every box to make sure. Well, we gotta have, there might have to be a pineapple. There might have to be, this is my partner 3 or 4 times. There might have to be a what. There might have to be a fist bump. There might have to be me screaming. There might have to be. So we really went down the list and found places for all that. So I think everybody that likes all the little Easter eggs, and there's a few really, really deep Easter eggs.
Especially in the casting.
Yeah, there's some casting. There's some local Vancouver casting that if you pay attention, you'll be like, oh, that guy was, wait a second. So there's some really, really fun stuff for everybody. And we had a fun time doing that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye, have fun.
Hello. Table number 1. Aren't you special? I'm wonderful. How are you? Pretty good? Yes. I found this the other day. Isn't it appropriate? Isn't it exquisite? Look how thick that embroidery is. It doesn't really look like it. Is that? I actually had to ask the people at the store, is that a pineapple? They went, yes, so. Yeah.
How has the relationship changed from the last saga?
Henry has a lot more sex. A lot more. Because he's gotten hip. He's given up the old Henry. He dresses cool. He's moved into a loft with a building of lofts with hipsters. Thus, he has a lot more sex. But he does keep an eye on his boat, so he has like his old ways a little bit. You know, anybody screws with his boat, you know, he'll be down there. He'll be old Henry. But I think he's sort of gotten into the world. But I don't think that's anything really a big leap, because if you think over the years, Henry was a guy who went and got massages. He went and got manicures and pedicures. I mean, if you remember, there were episodes where Tim Curry, he had a robe that Tim Curry put on, and he's wearing my robe, Sean. You know, so I think I don't think Henry was ever that far out of that zone. But while he was a cop, he had to be a cop. No, Henry has come to San Francisco partly because it's Christmas to visit Sean, and then something happens, and all of our cop instincts come out. And, you know, he fights it for a while, even willing to risk his new cool clothing. But you'll have to see more.
So we'll get some good father-son bonding in this one?
Not like there was before. You know, I think that whole, we're not bonding, but the original show, the original part of it, even going way back when we had the flashbacks, which stopped, was that that relationship, really building on the relationship. I think by season 5 or so, I think we all said we get it. You know, we get what that relationship is. And there are moments when I get shot. Remember, I know we have a moment. I hand him my badge or something. I can't remember what it was. But we bonded. But I think at this point it's a little bit more mature. You know, it's like he's older. He's not a kid anymore. I can't tell him what to do. He makes ridiculous statements to me about my age, and they just I let them go over my head. But I think there's always going to be this wonderful relationship between Henry and Sean. You know, but really, Sean is who he is because of the relationship he had with his father. I mean, there's not a mother there on a constant basis for a purpose. It's because it's a relationship with his father. And not just observation and stuff I taught him, but, you know, I think Henry's a good guy. And I think Sean's basically a good guy, and that comes from being the son of Henry.
A fan wants to know, what is the craziest thing Henry has done to help Sean in his psychic abilities?
Craziest thing he's done. I'm trying to remember back over the years because there was something, I can't remember what it was, but I covered up something for him so he wouldn't get in trouble. But I honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Is there anything he does in the movie to help Sean?
Well, he's there. He shows up. I mean, he gets a beating. Give us all the stuff we can talk about and not talk about. Henry takes a good whooping. And it's ultimately for Sean.
So what was it like coming back after 3 years and getting to play this new, hip guy with no dynamic now?
It was great, you know. I mean, Henry's still Henry, so I didn't have to reinvent who he is. Yeah, you put on the clothing and you're half the way there. But coming back was perfect for me, for my character, because Henry's moved on, so I can bring new Henry into this environment, and it's not like I have to be, I think they had to be a little bit more of like who they were, and for Henry it's great. I get to come back, come to the party, which is what this was. It continues to be what we're doing here, but Henry doesn't care as much as he cared before. Does he slip back into being old Henry? Of course, but I mean, for me, it was like, hey, where's my ticket? Get me to Vancouver. Check me in. Go and have some food. Be with some friends. And then, you know, work long hours and you realize, oh, you're back at this. Yeah. Oh, I think he asks at one point how old I am, and he says something. I think he answers something like, "I know it has a couple of zeros behind it or something." Yeah, Sean loves his dad. I'm certain of it, but he's a kid who will never admit it.
Okay, at this point, are you telling us that in the movie, Henry is better dressed than Sean? Because Sean wasn't a great dresser. I mean, that was that's his
Right. Wait, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
So, in the beginning of the movie, who's the better dresser, Sean or Henry?
Henry. Henry's the best dressed out of all of them. Henry shows up cool. Wait till you see Henry's entrance into this thing. Yeah, Henry shows up pretty cool. Very different. And then Sean has a funny reaction to it. Yeah, included in Who Are You?
How are your dynamics with the other characters, like Juliet, Gus, and stuff?
I don't think he cares about any of them. It's just a bunch of kids. His major relationship, his big relationship in this is with Woody, who's a buddy. We're same age guys. I think his reaction to Woody is kind of the reaction he used to have to Sean. Like, what are you doing? Because Woody, which has not been talked about much here, is pretty crazy in this. Very funny. I mean, funny, it's not been talked. I think we can talk about it. Yes. We know he's in it, right? Yeah, okay. His to-do and to-don't list is...
Last question, guys.
What's that?
Last question?
Last question.
What scene are you most looking forward to fans seeing?
There's a pretty funny scene, as I mentioned, where Woody and I get the crap kicked out of us. That's pretty funny. It's the funniest, painful scene you'll ever see. Thank you.
Great. So now we're just going to do...
It took me a couple scenes, I'm not gonna lie. It was all pretty overwhelming that first day. There were a lot of emotions. There was a lot of reunions happening and people that we hadn't seen in a while. And to be feeling all of that and then just jump right into bum 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 psych rhythm was like, what? It was a little, except of course for Dulé, who immediately was like no time had passed. But yeah, it took me a little while to sort of play my way into the game. Thank God those early scenes weren't supposed to be super funny.
Can I ask how Sean's relationship with Juliet has changed?
Without giving too much away, I can tell you that they're still into each other. But it plays a pretty major role, I would say, in the movie. So you won't be shortchanged. What's that?
Gotta know what happened after that proposal.
Yeah, we all are curious. Yeah.
Now, what was the process of writing the film as well as making story?
Steve and I wrote it together pretty quickly, I would say. It actually lined up with the presidential election. That was sort of the backdrop of writing this movie, which I think helped. We sort of accepted the challenge of make this as funny as humanly possible, and as light as humanly possible, because everything just felt so intense at the time. That we were like, hey, let's be an elixir, let's be a respite, let's be a moment to sort of breathe. So that was motivational. Steve had a lot of the story in his head already, so I was basically just his co-pilot, tossing out weird jokes. And then, we got thrown a curveball pretty deep into prep, where we were going to have to figure out how to tell this story without Lassiter. And at that point, we holed up at a restaurant in Vancouver and got drunk for 72 hours, and somehow did that. Yeah.
So last we saw Sean, he was got engaged. Are we gonna expect to see a more mature Sean, or?
I would say his beard is a little longer, and I think he's probably knows more. I don't know that he necessarily.
I'm loving the
has figured out how to put that into action. I think that's always sort of been Sean's Achilles heel. I think he's matured up here. You just have to figure out how to execute those things in life. Yeah. That's what he said. It's pretty heavy. It's heavy bromance. It's a lot of It's a lot of Sean. It's a lot of Sean Gus. Hope that's okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
What was your favorite nickname out of all the nicknames of Sean?
I like Jet Blackness. I've always liked Jet Blackness because it doubles as Dule's real life porn name, which I think is fantastic and everyone should embrace and celebrate. Yeah. He never actually worked under that name, but he would have if he'd chosen to go down that path. Luckily, he didn't have to.
As a writer, do you feel pressure from your co-stars? Like, hey, you better give me a good scene, make sure I get good stuff.
You know, honestly, Sean is the character that I'm least interested in writing for, so I think they always get pretty stoked when they know that I'm writing because they know that I don't actually want to be in the episode or at least be in it as little as possible. I love writing for the other characters, and I love giving them stuff to do that they've never gotten to do before. That's the fun for me is watching them because I love them all. I feel like I've just been in it so much, and I talk so much. Everybody could use a break.
Who's your favorite character to write for?
I absolutely, positively have always loved writing for Tim. I think what he did with that character is nothing short of remarkable. I don't know if I can think of another actor who could have figured out how to take what was a pretty straightforward, one-dimensional guy that you're supposed to hate in the pilot and turn him into a guy that's so complex, that has so many layers and neuroses that you absolutely, positively fell in love with and can't imagine, not having him around. I think it's a great character, and I think the actor and the character marriage was perfect, and you can do so many things with him. It's so fun. I love writing for Tim. I like writing for Juliet as well. Screwed Gus.
After writing, do you come up with ideas when you're going to put in the pineapple?
Steve had a pretty clever one this time around that we came up with pretty early, so we were able to sort of check that, got it. Obviously, we knew that we had to do something that was better than average, since we've been away for so long. So I think we found something pretty fun. Yeah. There is 0% chance you will not spot it. The new office is off the charts cool, and probably the single biggest homage that we have in the film, because it's a little light on, I would say, movie tributes, since I felt like we had enough time to come up with a story that didn't require borrowing from somebody else. But the new office is the one thing that we let ourselves have. So
I have to steal it now, so sorry.
Stealing. Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, have a great weekend.
It's great. It's great. Who are we kidding? I mean, the fact that we came back, we were so surprised. I think James knew about it for a while, that they've been trying to work it out. Like, oh, we definitely know the movie's happening. Let's try to get into ComicCon. None of us knew about it. So when we were working on it, and they're like, so do you want to go to ComicCon? And we're like, A, like we have a choice. B, like anyone would ever say no. And then was anybody here? Were you guys at the panel? Was anybody here at the panel? Okay, so there's a couple of you. We were so nervous when they told us where we were going to be. Because we're like, oh, well, we haven't been to ComicCon for 4 years, and the show's been off for 3 years. So, maybe put us in one of these, max occupancies of 400 people. That'll be great. It'll be fine. And they're like, no, you're in Ballroom 20. We all went, oh, gosh. No, there's no way.
I was afraid I wouldn't get in, honestly.
Seriously. I can't tell you guys, we were shocked. We didn't expect it at all. Even on the You know, because they pick us up in vans and they shuttles, and they'd shuttle us over from the hotels, and we're like, guys, I don't know, they put us in ballroom 20. So that was a wonderful surprise, and we were backstage, we're like, oh wow, this is still happening. And that's something I think all of us were really surprised at, because 3 years we've been off the air now, and nobody's really lost fans. If anything, like, people are rediscovering it or discovering it for the first time. Like those 13-year-olds are like, I just found out about this new show. And we're like, we're all old people, you know? It's like we're all... Keep that campaign alive, right? And I think it has something to do with Netflix and with USA Network. So keep getting that out there, because it may be... You've got to rewatch that season. Then people will tweet me pictures of, I got my DVD box set. I'm like, oh, good, DVDs are still being made, you know? So they can still do that. So I guess that was like this huge surprise. So that helped convince the executives to say, oh, well, maybe there is still life in this fun little show. That I can tell you. That's the key phrase there, isn't it? Yes, you will learn something new about Chief. And because everybody's up in San Francisco now. So I'm in charge of a much bigger department. Sean, in this movie, takes a case on his own. So this is not an SFPD sanctioned case. But I think you learn very quickly in this group that if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Which I think was a great shot, the one that they did decide to release to the first look shot, the entertainment week of all of us we're on a dock that you saw in the trailer down in the hall. So we're back at those docks it doesn't matter if you messed with Sean, it doesn't matter if you messed with Juliet, or even with Woody, because he's there too. Not only is Woody there, I had to hire him in San Francisco as well. I was just like, how do we get everybody up here? Well, I guess we got to hire him. And it's great because he's part of, again, the coroner's staff, and this coroner hates him. Like, he is such a fool. And she's great. She's great. So we learn a little bit about me. We might learn a little bit about, is my family still involved? I did have a husband and child, don't I? You don't see my sister again. Jane Lynch, she's got like an Emmy. She's a little busy. We can only fit so much into our 90 pages, but I had hoped that she would be brought back, but time and commitments couldn't allow it. Like Kurt Smith, we wanted to come back as well, but he's touring. He's in a little band called Tears for Fears, and they're on a big tour now. So no, we don't get to see my sister, but I don't know about the rest of my family. We did get to work with Zach. We finally got him. And I thought the connection was always with James. And the connection with Zach was Dulé. And I was like, what? I swore these two big nerds did. Well, I mean, I guess I should call James a nerd. He's a nerd. The James and Zach would be the connection. But the fact that we got him this time, he was wonderful. He's crazy. Absolutely crazy in this character. It's just delightful. He's the one that decides to mess with us. What is he doing?
What?
Are you lurking?
No, I was actually trying to find a ride to the hotel.
Oh, no, you gotta walk. It's so much easier to walk back to the hotel. Put your shades on, pull your hat low, because you're Corbin Burnson. Yeah, the pineapple hat. No, swap hats with him and see what happens.
On the show, I'd Spot the Pineapple.
Spot the Pineapple. They'll be like, ah, there it is. And I don't I don't even remember when the pineapple pops up in this episode, because obviously they had to put it in there.
We were told that we cannot possibly see it.
Oh, I know where it is. No, you're not going to be able to miss it. No, it's just going to be so... Well, again, I'd have to kill you if I told you that, and that's awkward, because I like your hat. But there's, we've got some big surprise guest stars, and yes, it is with that guest star.
So I'm gonna fangirl for a moment. You're my biggest role model growing up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So when you were like the chief, were you written that strong, or did you kind of bring in and be like, no, she's gonna be a badass?
I think probably a little bit of both. I didn't, when they cast me, obviously it's the actor that walks into the room like, oh, I like that vibe. But I was 5 months pregnant when I did the pilot, and I was only going to get bigger. They were like, let's cast you in August. And I was like, listen. And we shot in November, and my baby was born in January, so I'm like, this is just going to keep going. And so I think it was a little bit of, everybody had seen Fargo by that point. Frances McDormand as pregnant police chief, it was already there. And I wanted to make sure that she wasn't just a woman in power, she just was the chief. Which is kind of nice sometimes with a police system, a military system, is its rank. And there is no insubordination to rank. It's not about being a woman, it's not about being a man, but it's you just are. And what came with that was me. And I think that we kind of worked this symbiotic relationship of, yeah, that's who she is.
Guys, we're going to wrap now. Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you, guys. And I love the costume. I've got to do it. I'm going to be on the floor tonight. Hi, guys.
I'm going to have my tea with you guys.
Psych.
Dream. It feels like, I've said this a million times today, but I'm going to say it again because you guys haven't heard it, but it feels like, it feels like coming home. Like we had so much fun making the movie. Obviously, missed him. Today felt like a giant hug. It was this beautiful, we are making this movie because of the fans. We got to make this movie because of the fans. So there's just a lot of gratitude, and sometimes I just have to pinch myself because the fans have not only... Those little portable tripods are tricky. No, it's okay. Do you want me to wait? Okay. So I think we just feel so blessed because we've been able to be away from the show for a few years, and yet it doesn't feel like a day has gone by in a lot of ways, that we haven't been together, that we haven't and the fact that the fans have followed us on all of our other adventures, other shows, other projects, foundations, plays, theater companies, whatever it is that we have, there's just this amazing support. And I maybe other shows feel this, but they're lucky if they do, because it is truly we're just very lucky.
Can you tell us how, since the last time we saw Julia, how has her relationship, how has she changed, and how has her relationship with Sean changed?
I can't say much. Has that been happening a lot today?
James too. I'm like, I need this.
They keep asking us stuff about the movie, and I'm literally like, I can say nothing. I know that makes the interview really boring, but I can say the relationship has progressed. I think James mentioned that since the show he had taken 3 steps. I don't know if you guys were at the panel. Oh. Literal steps since the show ended. So whatever that means. But I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, that could be true, actually. Anyway. I'm sorry, I wish I could say more. I think that Juliet, when given a task, can almost go overboard, 200% instead of just a balanced level of percentage. And I think I'm kind of the same way. It's sort of like, oh, that's a good idea. That's a project. I'm going to do that. And then I maybe go a little too far overboard.
How's she doing professionally? Can you talk about
Well, yeah, I can say that she and the chief are, their relationship has also, like their working relationship has gone to another level. That was really fun to play. My suits are a little different. That was also fun. Still heels, still wearing the heels, still running in the heels. But again, I wish I could say more.
What's been your favorite part of the whole movie process?
Honestly, being with these guys again. Like, every day is fun. We have fun on screen, we have fun off screen. I mean, we're all so close anyway, so, but the fact that we got to be on set together again, the fact that we got to bring these characters to life again, like, it was awesome. It was just to look around, and our crew. So we had a lot of the original members of our crew come back into the movie, and so every day it really was like, it was almost like this time warpy, like, where am I right now? And like, what year are we in? Because this feels like we were just here, even though for us, I think the show wrapped 4 years ago, even though it didn't stop airing until 3 years ago. Yeah, so it had been a while, but that was my favorite part. He's awesome. He is just a ball of energy. He's so talented. I think he brings a lot to the movie. Yeah, we were lucky to have him. Wish I could say more. Oh, you guys know a little. I've seen some press releases. Yeah, like his look and like yeah. It was really really fun. He's really good at the movie.
So you were always kind of like a third wheel for the two romances in Ron. What was your favorite part of like just kind of witnessing their romance, even offset if it was still?
I was just about to say probably like what happened offset. It was really funny because I even watching the two of them. I mean they're you see a lot of it on screen. Like these two are very, very, very close. They have such a shorthand with each other. Sean and Gus have as many inside jokes, or I should say James and Dulé have as many inside jokes as Sean and Gus do. And sometimes, like, while every day is fun, and I laugh my ass off, sorry, it's just watching the two of them on screen and off. I can literally stare at, like, listen to them making jokes, listen to them talking about stuff, and I never stop laughing. So I'm happy to just be a part of it, even if I am a third wheel. It's a fun thing to witness. Yeah. You mean what changed? I can only hear part of it because it's so loud in here. Oh, with all the characters, meaning? Like with my relationships? I have a new partner, right? Because I'm in a new place. Played by the wonderful, talented, amazing person. Have you guys heard this yet? Sam Huntington? Do you know Sam Huntington? Yeah. He's just a dream. So we had a great time. I think I can say this, like my character, because we've all grown up a little bit, I mean, in real life, and time has passed even, in the movie, so there are some new kind of emotional depths, I would say, that we kind of explore a little bit that was really fun. As I said before, like my relationship with Kirsten, it was really, really nice to have that, like, go to another level all around. And then Sean and Juliet, I wish I could say more, other than I was like, what can I say? And they were like, oh, the relationship has progressed. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway.
What scene from the movie are you most excited for fans to see?
But then I have to talk about the movie. You guys are good. You're just trying to trick me into saying all kinds of stuff.
The particular character, the other scene.
What are you getting at? Why do you ask it like that? I'll just say all of them. I'll say there was one scene in particular that moved me in a way that was unexpected. And then maybe after the movie, I can talk about what that is. Isn't that great? Isn't that what you wanted?
What's next for you after Psych?
I think I can talk about this. Well, I'm working with Dog TV. I have a foundation, so I'm working with Dog TV right now on this adoption show where we're basically, by region of the U.S., we're sort of showing dogs that are available at different rescues and shelters up for adoption. So we just got a season 2 on that. So I'm hosting that show. And then, thank you. It's so close to my heart. Oh, thank you. It is to my. It's Dog TV, but they have now partnered with like Comcast, and so it's available on like I think Animal Planet and a couple other places as well. I just finished working on The Ranch. I did like 7, I think, episodes of that, or 8, and they'll be in the next half. Yeah. So I just finished that, and we're still doing a lot of work with Tiger Francis, who's my animal foundation. So we've now partnered with new people. So we're taking our education program into. Now we're working with the Good Shepherd and Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and taking the animals in to work with the kids. What else? I mean, I'm working on a show right now. I think I can say this, but I'm doing this. This Santa Clarita Diet show on Netflix. Yeah. So I'm working on that with my friend and one of my most favorite people in the world to work with, Joel McHale, who I did The Great Indoors with, which was fun. Oh God, I'm just like.
No, that's great. I mean, I'm pretty busy. Like,
No, it's been great. It's been a good year. So.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was nice.
I have a Panama hat that I got at first just to have a sun hat, and now the first day I put the Panama hat, and I was a different person in the hat. I walk by and I see, who is that freakishly tall guy with the Panama hat? It was me. So it's very exciting. So welcome to all of you. Let me see. Okay, Ranker, great. That's okay, I got it. Hold on. Your card was down. You got to keep that down. All right, go. Who's first?
I'll go.
Okay.
So for all the guest stars that you've had, is there anyone that you still haven't gotten that you want to be in like one of your movies?
Hundreds of people, and there's such an extensive list that I don't even know where to start. But we finally got Zach Levi, who we've all known for years and years, going to Nerd HQ, and so Zach was like the first person we went to. So it was like we checked that off. We didn't get David Bowie in time, and although I don't know if he ever really would have done the show, but the one thing is that was the first thing I started. I created the villain to be David Bowie in his weirdest phase, which I think is the Thin White Duke phase, which I never understood. So I thought, what a strange, creepy, and Levi is so good in this part. I can't wait for you to see him. Oh, I can tell you everything, but.
Can you tell us which former episodes maybe inspired
Oh my gosh, there's so many Easter eggs in this thing. You got to watch the pilot, because there's about 3 of them that play from the pilot. There's a handful of episodes. It's easier for me to make obscure references to episodes that I directed or wrote because I remember all that stuff. But there are, I think you got to watch them all. Many of those, and the ones that James directed. There's a lot of really fun stuff. You guys were you at the panel? half-beard makes an appearance in the opening sequence, which was our favorite thing. I don't know if you remember, but they had one beard that was their disguise, and so they needed to get into the gun range, so they cut it in half, and then they each wore half of it, and they pretended to be carrying something in past the front desk, and so James has used that half beard a couple times, and right away, God, what episode is that? It has a gun range, and whatever the half beard made its first appearance. Oh my gosh, there's Soup Can Sam. That was a character James brought out a couple times. I'm trying to think what else. Carlos Jacot appears in the movie. Carlos was one of our writers who also appeared. I think he holds the record now. He's played 5 different characters on the show. He was in Remake and just one of the funniest, greatest guys on our staff.
You said you had ideas. You want to have 5 more movies in the future, like Fast and Furious. What ideas would you like those movies to be?
Oh my gosh, so many ideas, and I've been saying that for a while, and it was just this week that suddenly it became a thing. So, and I mentioned it to Entertainment Weekly, and we'd done the phone interview, and suddenly, like, everybody's asking about the 5 movies. I have to say, if you ever want to make 6 movies, just mention it, and it blows up on its own. So it's kind of like that. What was that thing? The Secret, where if you want something, you just envision it. Just envision it. And but I have lots of world, and I would like to, take these guys other places, because that's the fun of it. And the fun of it, we shot this in Vancouver again, but we were shooting Vancouver at San Francisco, so it was still different, and it felt fresh. And the best thing about the movie is it doesn't feel like it's 2 episodes of a show stuck together. It feels like a movie. It is a movie, and it feels bigger, and the stakes are higher, and the danger is there's some like really serious stuff that happens, and yet it's the silliest stuff we've ever done and the funniest stuff that we've ever done. And we're editing it, and I can't stop editing it because every day we find another little gem, and it's so fun. It's so good. I can't even begin to tell you.
What scene are you most looking forward to fans seeing?
Well, I really love. Oh, there's so many. There's so many, and without giving away something. I hope so. I hope we. I don't know. Do they still do Blu-ray? We've never done Blu-ray for our show, but did they still do box sets? Because I'm trying to figure out, well, can we have a commentary track? I think that's important. As a fan, I would want to have that. Maybe I'll just record it on my voice memo on my phone, and we'll do it. But I would love to do something like that, and maybe we can record our own. It's a good point. You made a good suggestion. We're going to put that out in the world, and maybe we can get people excited and wanting. Because for me, I love doing the show, but one of my favorite parts of the year is when they were putting together the DVD box sets. They would go, okay, which 2 episodes do you want to do commentary for? And I would say, I want to do all 16 episodes. And they go, well, we can't do that. And I go, okay, I want to do 14. And then we would negotiate it. And they would say, okay, we can do 6. And I go, okay, great, 6. How many hours is that? And it says, well, 15 minutes of between each one. And then you have to do lunch and break for lunch. And what I said is, all right, okay, that's 5 hours. What if we do them and run them back to back to back to back? And we would do that, and we'd end up getting 1 or 2 more in there by not taking breaks in between. So if you ever get the box sets and wondered if our voices seem like they're worn out or if we're exhausted, it's because that was the 6th one in a row that we recorded. But
You've talked a lot about, doing some Easter eggs and throwbacks for all the fans for the movie. What's something new that fans?
Oh my gosh. There's so many new things, and that's the coolest thing is like before we ever put in this is my partner, or I've heard it both ways, all that. I was like, what's the new thing we're gonna say, and what's the new? So we have like a whole slew of new running gags. The new Psych office is so good. I actually wanted to live in that set for a couple days. And it also is an Easter egg to something else that's happened. I wish I could tell you all this stuff, but we have to keep a few things secret. But there's the new Psych office is great. The catchphrase that goes with the new Psych office is lots of fun. There's so many good bits. I set out to do, and James and I wrote the script together, but before I even sat down and pitched anything that I wanted to do to James, it was like, I want to pitch this show to the most die-hard fans, but also the person who's never seen it before. So if we do the little freeze frame cards that introduce each person, and in the opening sequence. And that's important to me because if you've never seen the show, you don't know the fake psychic and what he means and what his best friend is, you can walk into this thing blindly and pick it up. And I think that's really important for people to be able to reactivate and go back and go, oh my God, there's 121 of these to go back and find. Because it's just, I think it works for everybody. It works for the most diehard. But there's stuff in there that happened that, like, I'm like, no one's gonna get this, but let's bring it back and see what happens. So there's a lot of great Easter eggs, but more than the great Easter eggs, there's new things that I hope that we've been repeating in the editing room that we hope other people will be repeating and find funny.
What's your being a creator in this social media age where fans are like helping get these revivals kind of off the ground, like they're so connected? What's that like for you?
It's so cool, and I think because we have such a special group of people, because our show is about positivity and our show is about, making the world a better place. And, in dark times, it's weird that so many dark shows happen, because I always feel like, well, that should be the time where fun stuff happens. So, we're about saying something good about the world. And the world's a good place, and everybody has a place. And in that in itself was our desire to. We were really early adapters, I think, to engaging social media, because we felt like we wanted to be our own promo department in addition to the promo department that we have, because USA has this incredible machine, but they have a new show that comes out every year, so they have to change their focus and put it more on that, and then you're supposed to go on your own. So we got into, when we had message boards from way back then, and then getting on it, every time there was something else, it was like, all right, how do we get to connect with our fans? And it served us so well because, right into the Twitter age, beyond to the next thing, that it's been this sort of diehard base of people that we can stay engaged with, who have just beaten the drums so loudly for this movie to happen. Without that, I don't think anyone would have, no one would be calling me saying, hey, you want to do the movie this year? So it's nice, and it's so great too to be able to engage people and find out what's important to them. Because when we sat down to write it, it's like, I know what I want, I know what James wants, I know what the actors want to do, but most importantly, what are the fans wanting? Because that's an important part of the equation. It's also important not to give everybody exactly what they want right when they want it, because you have nowhere to go. But I think if you can sort of make sure everybody has a voice and everybody has a say, it feels not interactive, but it feels like everybody has contributed to the thing. What was so when the Tim thing happened, it was like we were like basically arriving in Vancouver, and there was a lot of questions. The first question was, how is Tim? How is he doing? And once we knew that, oh my God, not only is he recovering, but I'm so blown away by that guy. Is the strength that I would never have had, and he's coming along so well. It's like, all right, we want to make sure we put Tim in, and we put him in a meaningful moment, but we're not going to make him, during this recovery process, fly up to Vancouver, go through, get a work permit, and do all that stuff. So now that we're back and we're cutting, we're going to shoot Tim's thing here, but we've shot everything else that goes with it. So it was a matter of making an impactful moment, and when we're ready to do it, we put all the pieces together, we can then present it in the best way. And it's the stuff, the Tim thing is just, it's great. It's really cool.
Okay, so of all of the references, all of the themed episodes, everything, one-liners, anything, what was your favorite thing to reference? Was it like the Hitchcock one that it's obvious, or was it like a one-liner that no one understood?
Well, I am very proud of the one-liners that no one understands. I brought one up today that's in the movie, and I also have we have jokes. We have jokes that we think 3 people will get, but the trick is don't frame them as jokes. Just roll right over them, and then someone goes, "Oh my God, do you know what that is?" Those are always the sweetest for us when someone gets it. But in terms of genre, I mean, obviously Twin Peaks was. We take full credit for Twin Peaks coming back. But personally, for me, I might have had on the series. I might have had the most fun when we did the London episode and we did the Guy Ritchie thing, just because it was a great chance to sort of step into that genre. But it's like those, we never fully engage, and that was important too to me. You know, people were like, "What genre is the movie going to be?" And I said, "The movie can't be a genre because for 2 hours you can't just make it an homage to something. So it has to be it has to live and breathe on its own." And so we take detours in the genre, of course. But it's the genre is 2-hour action movie. Yeah. All right. Am I moving on? I always overtalk. Thank you.
That was the cast of Psych. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can check out all of our Comic-Con footage. I'm Dorothy for That's My Entertainment. What's yours?